Okay, it's my first time recording something like this. I wrote some notes down. In case it sounds scripted, it's because it kind of is. Alright, so this is a base project that I had been working on. Handle DualShock controllers. It's based on DarknessFX DualShock4 for Unreal Engine 4 and 5 template on GitHub. I'll leave a link to that on the description of the video. Basically, I started working with this around January of last year. Didn't work on it too much, got busy with something else, and then I completely forgot about the project itself. Alright, let's start with some enums. I'm just using this to handle some information on this data table. It's pretty much just the D-pad direction and the axis I'm expecting from that D-pad direction. See, where is it? Oh, it's right here. All right, after that, I made a custom input modifier that has a macro. I'm gonna show the macro right here. Very simple. It converts the raw input. Here you can see the values. I actually left a comment here. Thank you, asked me. And it's converting the raw input from the axis 1D over to values from 0 to 8. And then I'm adding 1 to it. Why? I don't remember exactly why. I think it's because I wanted everything to be above 0 for some reason here. I don't know, can't remember that. The enum and the data table right here are being used to make a hard-coded comparison, which is all of these literal floats between the converted input axis with that I called normalized axis right here. I'm just setting that value afterwards. And the hard-coded values then are added to a +1 just because I'm moving all of the values to an offset of +1 right here. It's kind of messy, I know, but it made sense at that time. I'm almost sure that this section right here was to handle diagonals. Yep, it was diagonals. And as you can see right here, up, this little switch right here will let pass from 7, 0, and 1. That's left, up, and right. I mean, that's diagonal left up, and then diagonal right up. That's 7, 0, and 1. And the same thing happens with all of these ones right here. They're all the horizontal or vertical axis plus the diagonal that is right next to it, before and after. The select float right here is because since the value from the normalized axis is being left as a 9, I don't want that 9 to go through for it to work correctly as a float, so I'm just making it a 0 here. You'll see later why I don't put here an 8. As you can see here in my notes, yeah, I could treat this as a 0 or an 8. Ended up treating it as a 0 because it made no changes to the way I was handling the UI. Just the UI. This is just because of the UI. Then take everything into an input mapping context. That the input modifier goes in here. At least on this setup I was working with, I needed all the D-pad directions separate. So I just add the modifier in, select the corresponding direction. So you can see right here, every D-pad direction is using axis 5. They all have a modifier, which is that input modifier I made, and I'm just selecting the D-pad direction. That's everything that's going on in here. You can see right here I had a low diagonals. I never used it. Okay, this is a macro I was using to actually handle the bools from each input inside the character controller. Yeah, this is a character, yeah, player control. There it is. This is how it looks on the outside. I'm just using every single input action, sending it through a delay when triggered for 1 frame, just so I can get the values actually updated inside the input modifier. and then I'm running them all through the macro. Let's look at the macro itself. I don't know why I did it like this, probably because everything is a digital ball. So I'm just setting every ball in here, and then I'm checking every single ball for every possible combination of absolutely everything. So I made it so I could handle diagonal inside the blueprints instead of in the input modifier. I just couldn't figure out how to do that. This is a mess, so please bear with me a little bit. I'm here defining regular up, down, left, right. I won't go into a lot of detail, but I'll leave it there on the screen if you want to pause and look at it. If you look at it for a while, it'll make sense. Now, these are all the possible diagonal combinations that are normally possible using a D-pad right here. All of these bunch of messy nodes. I'm actually gonna zoom out a little bit. I made a path for the previous and current axes for it to handle. As you can see, I left some comments in here. So this is the first check. Yeah, this is the first one. So if I'm only holding D-pad up, nothing else is pressed, then I let it go through. So that's axis 0. If I'm just holding down, that's 2. Is only down? No. Okay, no. This is up and right. And since I'm not allowing diagonals in here, so you can see diagonals false, I want to keep this as the last input that was pressed. So 2, right. Same for everything right here. Every single one of this is the same. You can see right there on some of my comments. I wait 1 frame for the variable to actually change. Then I just compare it to the last axis or the last input. If the last input is less or more, it will change. For example, this is up, this is right, this is down. Yeah, I was down. Yeah. Was down. That was left. I'm sorry, that's left. Yeah, because it's 0, 2, and I was missing 4 in here. 4 is right here. Okay. That is all for no diagonal handling. Surprisingly, diagonal handling was way easier to figure out. It's a lot less messier. Everything is just a long branch of chains. So as you can see right here, I'm just handling every single possible case of a ball being set or not. And I'm just setting the D-pad axis value to the specific float that I'm looking for. And I'm just sending everything to the UI. This is all for the UI, and so I'm debugging for the with the print screen on the screen. I send again all the triggered events from the D-pad input mapping just to the macro as I showed before, and the completion I just sent everything to set it to 8. I sent those values over to the already existed UMG and used the function that DarknessFX had already left in there. I just don't remember changing anything. From here, I send everything over to the UMG that's already existing, and I use the function that DarknessFX had already set up in here. I don't remember changing anything. I don't even think I changed the comment. I'm just using everything that's already set up by him. And here's everything in action. You can see that as I press the D-pad directions, the value appears on screen. And the UI elements kind of update correctly, kind of. As you can see right here, it's not updating on that 0. Probably because I didn't connect something here. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's the one that I didn't connect. Yeah, now it's behaving correctly. As you can see, that's D-pad up. That's D-pad up and right. Only right. Right and down. Down. Down and left. Left. Left and up. As you can see, for about a frame or so, maybe a couple more frames, once I release the button, it changes to an 8. You can kind of see it on the debug text on screen, but that's only to handle the UI elements. And as well, if I disable the diagonal options, if I press up and right, it'll keep the right value. I can release right. It's gonna go up back to up if I'm still holding it. It's still gonna go into the last input that was pressed. Doesn't matter if it's higher or lower. So here I'm holding right, that's 2. But if I hold up, even if it's 0, it's still gonna override it. And same if I go down, I can press right or left and it's still going to change. So that's the way I was handling the D-pad directions on this template. A lot of time went into this, and it's probably gonna get scrapped because DarknessFX already made a new version of this template, so I'll be checking that one out. I'm leaving a link to that one also in the description, as well as the old one like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, which is the one that I based this work on. Thank you for watching, everyone.